Hello everyone. Welcome to the ShipWorks Enterprise Shipping webinar, Best Practices for Maximizing Warehouse Efficiency. Our speaker today is ShipWorks Associate Software Developer Mirza Mulaosmanovic. Mirza has been with ShipWorks since 2012 and previously served as a Senior Product Technician. Here's a fun fact about Mirza. He was named the 2016 ShipWorks Air Hockey Champion, and he's going to be defending his title in the 2017 tournament that starts this Friday, April 14th. Good luck, Mirza. During today's webinar, Mirza will give an overview of the ShipWorks Enterprise Shipping Solution. He'll discuss the top 3 challenges warehouses face and best practices for dealing with these challenges. And he will highlight some common automation tasks and ways you can customize ShipWorks to meet your shipping workflow needs. Feel free to ask questions during the webinar by typing your question into the question window on your screen. We plan to answer questions as they come in rather than waiting until the end of the session, so send them on as you think of them. We're also recording this webinar, and we will send a link to the recording to all who attend the live event. You should receive the link by the end of the week or early next week. And now, here's Mirza.
Thank you, Nancy. Hi, everybody. My name is Mirza. I'm a software developer here at ShipWorks. So ShipWorks is a reliable, multi-platform, multi-carrier shipping software. We integrate with about 90 shopping carts, e-commerce platforms natively, and we give you the ability to automate your shipping process, automate repetitive tasks, and print labels from pretty much any carrier. So quick overview, like Nancy said, we're going to cover what ShipWorks Enterprise is, top 3 challenges, and then a bunch of common automation tasks, things that you can do inside of ShipWorks. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat window during the presentation. So ShipWorks Enterprise, basically we're a shipping software. We provide a cost-effective enterprise-level multi-carrier shipping solution that enables thousands of warehouse shippers to streamline their operations. We are a workforce management tool. We offer time-saving automation, whether it be setting up rules in ShipWorks for how to process labels, to integrating with third parties, sending the data that we aggregate into our software to third parties. And we have this cool new feature called Single Scan and Best Rate, which Single Scan allows you to process labels via barcode scanner, and Best Rate, we'll talk about it in just a sec, lets you rate shop carriers. So one challenge that we encounter is how does a shipper determine what carrier to use? And the solution to that we have is called Best Rate. And what Best Rate does is it will rate shop carriers that are in ShipWorks and choose the cheapest rate based on some criteria that you've entered. So I'm going to hop into ShipWorks real quick and show you an example. So let's say you get an expedited order and that order is being shipped locally, right? Maybe it's across the street. Well, first class might get it there within what you define as expedited, so you don't need to pay for a higher level service, because if you tell ShipWorks, hey, we need it there within 2 days, then it will retrieve rates that are within 2 days and process using the cheapest rate, so that your shipper doesn't actually have to make the decision of which carrier to use. Or maybe you offer a free shipping service, and really it doesn't matter which carrier it goes with, and it doesn't matter how long it's going to take, you just need it there anytime, you just want the cheapest rate. And so Best Rate will automatically choose the best rate based on the carriers that you have in ShipWorks. Another challenge that we deal with is repetitive manual tasks. Getting your order data into ShipWorks or into your shipping software, manually deciding what carrier to use, manually entering the weights, the dimensions, manually exporting the tracking information, things like that. And so ShipWorks has the ability to print a packing slip automatically for you, whether based on your rules. So let's say an order comes into ShipWorks and you want to print a packing slip. When that order automatically shows up, it can do that. And so the idea there is your warehouse guy doesn't necessarily have to sit next to the computer waiting for new orders to come in. Instead, you would create an action in ShipWorks so that when an order comes in, a packing slip automatically prints. That way that warehouse employee can go unload a truck or do something else, and then when he comes back to his workstation, there's a stack of packing slips ready to go for them to print labels for. And so the way that that works in ShipWorks, you would go to Manage, Actions, and you could create a new action. I have one created here already that basically says that when an order is downloaded, the order is downloaded for the first time, print a packing slip 4x6, and I'll show you guys what that looks like on the screen here in just a second. And it wants to know what printer to use, so just use maps. And so what that would do is when an order comes in, this packing slip would print to that printer automatically. It contains a barcode that you could use to look that order up. Another option would be, let's say, instead of wanting to print those packing slips as the orders come in, you want to print the packing slip as the labels are printed. Maybe you're printing orders in batches, so you would highlight a batch of 100 orders and ship those orders inside of ShipWorks. And so then that you don't have to have a stack of packing slips and a stack of shipping labels, you want them printed out of your printer, packing slip, shipping label, packing slip, shipping label, so you don't have to correlate those two. You could create an action inside of ShipWorks so that, and I'll show you here, we would go to New Action, create a new action so that when a shipment is processed, we want to print, and then you would just select the packing slip of your choice. That way, as you're printing labels, you're also getting packing slips for those labels. Now, as far as getting the orders into ShipWorks, we integrate with about 90. Actually, are there some questions, Nancy?
Yes, there is.
Okay, let's hear it.
The question came in, does best rate include UPS? If not, will it ever include UPS?
The answer is it does not currently include UPS. We are working on a solution right now as we speak. When I get back to my desk, I'll continue working on that. But we're actually working on a solution right now to support UPS rating with best rate.
Great. And then there's one other question. Is it possible for me to print the packing slip and shipping label at the same time?
Definitely. So we actually have a template within ShipWorks if you decide to, if you, and I don't know the specifics of the question, but let's say you wanted to print the label and the packing slip, or what we call label and invoice, in ShipWorks on like an 8.5 by 11 that contains the label. The other option is if you're printing thermal, you could do that action that I showed a moment ago, which was ShipWorks will automatically print the packing slip with the label out of your thermal printer. You just rip it off and you have the two attached to each other.
Is best rate part of the UPS savings program?
Currently, no, because the best rate isn't actually supported with UPS until we're finished building this additional feature that will allow it to work. So no, if you're on like a UPS CTP, you won't have access to best rate just yet. Soon to be though.
Okay, there's another question. Are you considering cloud software, or will it always be run on each machine individually?
Sure. So ShipWorks is a desktop client-based application. I can't say that we're considering cloud software, mainly because so ShipWorks runs on SQL Server, and the client machine itself, or the server machine, houses the database, and all of your client machines connect to that database. And that's one of the reasons that we're able to print labels at, I think the latest figure was 16,000 per hour, is that the performance that we get out of being a desktop-based software, we're really not looking to move into the cloud, and because performance is sort of our goal.
Okay, there's another, it's more of a statement than a question, but we've noticed it being a bit of a hassle to upgrade multiple machines when we used it in the past in the database, etc.
Sure. Yeah, so that is one thing that I would say is having client machines set to like a standard user and not allowing client machines to do the upgrades, and then scheduling time to actually upgrade client machines. But having some sort of automated upgrade system is something that we've looked into. So like potentially, when an update comes out, scheduling an update so that all of your clients get updated at the same time so that you're not manually going around to each machine manually doing the updates. That's not available yet though.
Okay, and it looks like there's one more. Will Wayfair.com be integrated into ShipWorks sometime in the future?
Not yet. With Wayfair, we can pull order data from Wayfair via flat file. And so if you can export that order data from Wayfair to a flat file, ShipWorks can pull that data in. But currently, we don't have a direct integration with Wayfair.
Okay, will you integrate DHL into Best Rate? At the moment, we can ship via DHL through ShipWorks, but it doesn't show the price of the label. We have to refer to a sheet from DHL.
Yes. So currently, no, DHL will not be included because we don't get a rate from DHL. In the future, if we do get rates from DHL, we will start. Basically, any carrier that returns a rate within ShipWorks will be included in Best Rate.
Okay, that looks like it's for now. Go ahead, thanks.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. And so, where were we? Let's see. We were talking about integration. So ShipWorks integrates natively with about 90 different integrations. However, if that, if you have a particular integration, or let's say like an OMS system that's not a part of our 90, we can pull order data in through ODBC, a flat file like CSV, and then we also have an API. So if you have a developer or want to hire a developer to build an integration, you could pull data in that way. ODBC is one of the newer integrations that we've actually built, so I can show that to you here. Basically, in ShipWorks, if you have an ODBC data source, I have one here called OMS, I can either write a SQL query or just choose a table to pull order data from. And then once I have that query built or the table selected, it's just a matter of choosing the fields from the table and mapping those fields to fields within ShipWorks. Once that's done, the order data will download into ShipWorks, and then when you process the order, you can actually upload it back. And so ShipWorks will do an insert or an update to a table or execute a query that you write that will post the tracking data or any other order data from ShipWorks back into that ODBC data source. So with that, if you have like an OMS or an ERP or some sort of software that order data could be pulled in through ODBC, that will now work with ShipWorks. The other option is with flat file, we can download order data from an FTP folder. We can download order data from an email containing an attachment of a CSV, or we could just pull in CSV or Excel or XML files that are located locally on your machine. Now, once that order data is in ShipWorks, after it's been shipped, we give you the ability to upload the tracking back to wherever it is that it came from. And we've added this new feature called single scan. And so what single scan is, basically, the new packing slips within ShipWorks will print with a barcode on them. And this barcode is a unique barcode that identifies that order within ShipWorks, so that when you scan that barcode, it'll pull the order up. Not only will it pull the order up, but it will also process the order if you have it configured to do so. And so in ShipWorks, if you go to Manage Options, there's this single scan section here where you can turn the barcode searching on, and then you could also check this box to automatically print labels on barcode scan. And so if you have Best Rate enabled and you have single scan enabled, as orders come in, you can scan the barcode. ShipWorks will decide what carrier to use based on the rules that you've put in, and it will print the label for you automatically. You don't have to touch the keyboard or do anything. Really, you just have to have the scanner in your hand. The other thing that we've added is AutoWeigh. And so what AutoWeigh is that when you fire that scan, if there is a box on your scale, it will pull the weight from that box. And so the workflow would be, packing slips are printing automatically from your printer as the orders come in. Your warehouse guy grabs the packing slip, picks the items, puts the box with the items on top of the scale, does the scan, it'll read the scale weight and print the label, throw the label on the box, and then move on to the next packing slip. And so I'll demo that for you guys here. So in ShipWorks, I don't actually need to have the cursor in the search box. I could have the cursor anywhere in the application. Turn my scanner on here. Okay, and so when I scan a barcode, you'll see that it will automatically pull the order up and process it. So I don't have to really do anything. It processes it. It shows USPS first class because that was the cheapest rate based on that package weight. Now the other cool thing is, let's say now you process that order and then for some reason there's another packing slip laying around with that same barcode. If I scan it, ShipWorks will actually say, hey, that order's been previously processed. If you want to print another label, scan the barcode again, or hit escape, or move on to your next barcode to cancel that so that you don't accidentally process two labels for that order. Any questions?
No new ones have come in.
Okay, cool. Sec here. And so that's single scan. That was released not too long ago. I believe about a month ago that feature was officially released to everybody. Now, another common issue that we run into or challenge is drop shipping. So if you ship items for people that are, if you're a drop shipper, and so let's say someone else is selling items and they need you to fulfill those orders. ShipWorks has the ability to pull order data from an email or FTP. And so usually what happens is a drop shipper will receive those orders and they'll either send you an email or they'll upload the order data to your FTP folder if you've got one somewhere. And so in ShipWorks, you would choose to add a generic file store, tell us what kind of file it is that we're looking for, and then you could say, it's an attachment to an incoming email. And so ShipWorks will actually check that inbox and download those orders as they come in. So you could have other people selling your products for you, and then you would just fulfill them through ShipWorks. Now, the opposite of that, let's say maybe you list some items that someone else fulfills for you. And so in that case, what you would do is in ShipWorks, you could actually create an action. Let's see here. You would create an action, and I've got one right here, to say that when an order is downloaded, only if it's downloaded for the first time, send an email containing the order information. This is a report built into ShipWorks called Orders with Items, CSV, that contains the order and item information. And we only want to send that if the order is in this dropship filter. And this dropship filter is just saying any item in the order, the code contains dropship. And so essentially you're telling ShipWorks any item where the item code contains the word dropship is not one that we're fulfilling, that's one someone else is fulfilling. And this action will send an email to that person saying, hey, can you please fulfill this order for me?
Okay, Ezra, sorry, but some questions did come in if you have a chance to answer them now.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so we use ShipWorks. How do I find out if we're on an enterprise or lesser version?
Sure. I think the best way to do that is contact our support, either support@shipworks.com or call 1-800-952-7784, or log into your account on shipworks.com. It should say it there.
Okay. Why does ShipWorks require a connection string when using ODBC with Access?
Sure. I mean, technically it doesn't. If you were to, on your computer, pull up ODBC and actually create a data source without, not necessarily a connection string, but you would create a data source for Access, it should connect. Now, the only caveat here is that the way that ODBC works with Windows, if the application is running in 64-bit mode, the ODBC driver needs to be a 64-bit ODBC driver, and vice versa. If the application is running in 32-bit mode, it needs to be a 32-bit driver. And I don't believe that the 32-bit drivers will show on a 64-bit machine running a 64-bit version of ShipWorks. And so technically you shouldn't, but I could see a scenario where maybe that data source doesn't show up in the dropdown. My best advice for that would be to contact support@shipworks.com to get you squared away.
Okay. Why would you have duplicate barcodes?
Duplicate barcodes. Is that, I think that might be referring to when I went and scanned those orders. I wasn't referring to duplicate barcodes. What I mean is, let's say for some reason you accidentally scan that barcode. ShipWorks has placed a safety mechanism in place so that you don't actually accidentally ship an order that has been shipped in the past.
Okay, thank you. Can the label print on a separate printer from the packing list?
Absolutely.
Printer?
So, yes. So in ShipWorks, basically, each template has its own printer settings. And so if I go to the standard label, I can choose which printer that prints to. And that is separate from the packing slip, which also has its own printer setting. So yeah, I can print packing slips to like an 8.5 by 11, and I could print the labels to a 4 by 6.
How does ShipWorks determine the weight of the shipment from the packing slip?
Sure. So there's two options for determining the weight. Well, three. So one, we pull the weight from the shopping cart or the marketplace or wherever it is that it's coming from. Two, we could pull the weight from the scale if you've got a scale plugged in and there's weight showing on the scale. Or three, we have this feature called ShipSense where basically, let's say the weight coming from eBay is wrong. You can override that weight by manually typing in a weight in ShipWorks, and from then on, we'll use that weight for that item. Next time we see an order containing that item, it'll pull up the weight that you manually overrode it with.
Okay, how does single scan work with box package sizes?
Yes, so currently, single scan does not work with box package sizes. That's something that's on our roadmap. And so the box sizes come from your shipping rules. So you would set up rules in ShipWorks that say, hey, if it contains these items, use these dimensions or this box type. But on our roadmap is a feature where we'll have special barcodes. So you can scan the barcode on the box and that will apply the dimensions from that box. So that's something we're working on.
What if the order has multiple boxes?
Yeah, so if the order has multiple boxes, usually you set up like a rule in ShipWorks that says, hey, if it's got this many items in it or if these items are in it, then create X amount of packages or boxes for the order. And so that when you scan the barcode, it'll look at those rules that you've set up in ShipWorks and apply those rules to the shipment, and the labels will print appropriately. So, if your rules say add 3 packages to this box because it's massive, then it will print 3 labels.
Okay. And can you make an end-of-day report for UPS on ShipWorks?
For UPS, I believe so. Yeah, I don't actually have a UPS account currently in here, but you can see up here I've got a FedEx close and a scan form because I've got a FedEx and a USPS account set up. Now, let's say that, whatever report it is that you're looking for doesn't exist inside of ShipWorks. Those can also be built. And so if we go to Manage Templates, you can see all of these pre-built templates that are in ShipWorks, but you can add additional ones. And so, for example, one of my favorite reports built into ShipWorks here is the shipping profit and loss. And so if I look at my shipped orders, and let's say I look at all 5 of my shipped orders from today, I can see that, I paid, I charged $24.95 in shipping, I paid $16.83, so I'm ahead $8.12. And those are all reports that are built out of HTML and XSLT, so they can be customized and built from the ground up.
Great, thank you. We do have a few more questions, but I think maybe we should move on and come back to them later if we have time.
No problem. Okay, so ShipWorks has the ability to send the order data via email or upload the order data via FTP or save the file locally. We can actually even send a web request containing the order data to a third party if you have a third party fulfilling for you, those specific items. And so let me hop into the PowerPoint here. Those. And so that sort of leads me into the common automation tasks. And I'll kind of go rapid fire through these, and I'm sure there'll be questions related to, can this task be automated, and we'll get to those then. And so you could potentially, since ShipWorks does address validation, let's say the order comes from your OMS or your shopping cart, and your shopping cart doesn't do any sort of address validation. So what ShipWorks can do is, as the order comes in, if we determine that the order has a bad address, then we can send an email to the customer saying, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, can you confirm this address for me? And so the way that looks is if you look at these filters on the left, I'm just going to double click on one of these orders, go to the address, and botch the address here so that it's obviously bad. Okay? And so now that that order is bad, it will actually leave this ready to ship filter, and it will enter the bad address filter. Actually, you just saw it happen right there. And what that means is once that order enters that filter, we send an email to the customer. And here's the email right here that basically says, you know, can you look at this address and confirm it for me? So customer receives the email. They email back saying, yeah, that's a bad address. You know, it should be this. And then you could have a customer, you know, like a support person, read the email and fix the address. So they would hop into ShipWorks, fix the address. I'm just going to grab a good address from this side. And so once the address is fixed, it will then leave the bad address filter and then re-enter the ready to ship filter so that you could ship it from that filter, not accidentally create labels to bad addresses. Any questions?
Yes. Does ShipWorks ever accidentally download import orders from Amazon, eBay that have already been shipped? If so, is there a mechanism that recognizes that this order has been shipped already?
Yes. So a good example down here, I've actually got Amazon. And so the way that we download order data, we don't really care if it's been shipped or not. We pull all the order data into ShipWorks because then you can run reports on it and do all sorts of things inside of ShipWorks because we aggregate all of that order information. And so in ShipWorks, we actually get a status from the shopping cart that tells us what the order is. So the store status is shipped. And so when the store status is shipped, ShipWorks will, you could set up your actions to not print your packing slips, for example. Or you know, if you can see here in my filters that I've got no ready to ship orders and 15 shipped orders. So the answer to that question is yes, ShipWorks knows that the order has been shipped, and we can filter out those shipped orders so that they don't get shipped double.
Great. Regarding order, can you create custom attributes at the order item level to help filter?
You can create custom order item attributes. You cannot filter on custom order item attributes. You can filter on any of the item fields. So you get all of these fields as, actually all of the fields from the description up that you could store item information in that is filterable. So sometimes maybe if you don't have a field available, you could throw it into the thumbnail or the image URL field, and those are filterable. You can add as many attributes as you want, like an attribute for color or size or something else, but those are not filterable. Mainly because we take a huge performance hit on filtering item attributes because certain shopping carts will get hundreds of attributes, and really it's just sort of metadata about the item and not necessarily data that should pertain to filtering. Any of that should be stored basically up here.
Okay. We find that ShipSense only works within each store, i.e. the wait for an item shipped for an Amazon order will save for the next Amazon order. If the same item is sold in our eBay store, that saved wait is gone. Is that correct?
Yep. Well, the reason that that's happening is if you go into Manage Options, and I believe under Advanced, and scroll down here, there's an option for your ShipSense configuration. Basically, ShipWorks uses those item fields to associate that item information with. And so what that's telling me is that your items downloaded from Amazon have a different code or SKU from the items downloaded from eBay. And so to ShipWorks, those look like totally unique items because the SKUs and codes don't match up from one to the other. What you need to do is find a field that is the same for both, and that way it will always apply to that item, whether it comes from eBay or Amazon or wherever.
Okay, I think let's move on for now.
Okay, sounds good. So let's see, what was the last one that we spoke about? Ah, yes, that was the bad address. Another one that you could do, another automation task or something that you could do in ShipWorks is, ShipWorks, since it has the ability to send emails, you could, and I had a customer do this not too long ago that sold Halloween costumes. And what they did is they would look back at everyone that placed an order for a Halloween costume the year before in October, and they would send all of those customers a coupon right before Halloween this year so that they could potentially get some repeat business out of it. And so that's as simple as basically creating a quick search here in ShipWorks looking for orders where the order date falls between, October 1st to October 31st of last year. Then you just highlight that batch, email now, and create a template that says, thanks for purchasing something from us last year. Here's a coupon for a new costume this year. The other option would be if you use something like MailChimp or a third party for email campaigns. ShipWorks actually has the ability to send that data to MailChimp. So here I've got an action where when I right-click on an order, I can actually send the email address from that order to a MailChimp list, and then from MailChimp they're part of a subscription list, maybe set up like an email campaign for that coupon. And so the way that would look is right-click, custom action, send to MailChimp. The other one I've got here is actually QuickBooks. So we get this question a lot with QuickBooks. I have a button here that when I highlight this batch of orders and I click send to QuickBooks, it'll actually create an invoice in QuickBooks for those orders. And so the way that works is I've actually got an action that basically sends a webhook to Zapier, if anyone here is familiar with Zapier. And so it will send all of the order data from ShipWorks to Zapier, and then Zapier sends it to any one of their 500 integrations, and one of them is QuickBooks. And then the other one that I really like is playing a sound when an order is downloaded. So, rather than having your shipping guy sitting at the computer all day, he could be out doing warehouse-related tasks, and you could just have ShipWorks play a noise when a new order downloads. And so the way that works is you would create an action. You would create an action saying that when a download finishes, only if it was a success and only if new orders were downloaded, we want to, down here there should be play a sound. Oh, play a sound. There it is. Play a sound. And then you just find, like a obnoxious siren noise that tells your warehouse guy to get back to his desk and ship these orders. And so that about covers the automation tasks. Were there any other questions related to that?
Yeah, a couple did come in. Regarding shipping profit and loss report, is there a way to account for shipping not charged because the shipping cost is included in the selling price, items sold with free shipping?
Yeah, definitely. So, if, for example, if the shipping amount is 0, you could add, some custom formula to that template so that it takes a percentage of the item price, or maybe if they paid for free shipping, you just put in a stock, we always include a $2 upcharge for that so that it's not 0, or it could just be 0 and on the report you could look like you just lost money on that deal. But if you made money and you always charge $2 for shipping as a part of the item price, then that could be hard-coded into the template so that it reflects the amount accurately.
Okay. How do you integrate ShipWorks with MailChimp?
Sure. So, we can get into detail. I think the best bet on that is to contact support. But essentially what it looks like is you get your list. In this case, I have my list unique identifier from MailChimp. And I generate an API token in MailChimp, which I paste into the basic auth info here. And what this will do is send the email address of the customer to MailChimp every single time I click that button. It could also be set up so that as an order is downloaded, when new orders come into ShipWorks, automatically send that email address to MailChimp. So for that one, I would say contact support, and we can walk you through the whole process.
Great, and one more, it looks like. Where is the filter condition for bad address validation?
Sure. So bad address, what you would do is you're basically looking at the person address validation status, and really we only care about the shipping address, whoops, the shipping address equals bad address. And so that will show you all of the orders that are bad. You could even do, we have this preset here for select not validated, and that's not just bad address, that's like it wasn't checked, or we're in the process of checking it, or the address has like 12 suggestions and we need you to pick one. But if you just want bad address, then you would check the box for bad address right there.
Great. Actually, questions are coming in fast and furious. So any plans to handle back orders?
Sure. I mean, it depends on, so the thing about ShipWorks, and hopefully I've kind of demonstrated that here today without confusing anybody, is that it's infinitely customizable. And so as far as back orders are concerned, it really depends on what your workflow is. We don't like to sort of prescribe a method to somebody. And so, you know, how is it that you would handle back orders? What I would suggest is calling support, and maybe they can help you with that. Because right now, for example, you could set the order status to back order and then send an email to whoever it is that's in charge of inventory to order those new items. Or you could probably, you know, with some work, set up an action in ShipWorks so that when an order is back ordered, ShipWorks will automatically update your inventory software so that that stuff gets purchased. You know, I'd venture to say that potentially whatever back order situation you have can already be handled within ShipWorks, but I can't say that we are in the works, you know, building something that is, you know, a specific workflow for back orders.
Okay, and regarding automatically printing, can you set it to print all orders from yesterday at a certain time today?
Sure. Do you want, so I'll show you how you would do that. So you could set up an action, and basically what it would do is on a scheduled time, and we want to do this daily, and we want to do it at 8 a.m. And what we would want to do is, we want to print, and we want to print everything in, and then you would create a template, or I'm sorry, a filter that's looking at orders. Well, I can create it right here on the fly just to show you guys. We would create an order filter called, let's say, yesterday's orders. And what we're looking for is orders where the entry method downloaded for the first time on a specific date, yesterday. And so this is basically saying the order was downloaded for the first time yesterday. And then we want to print it with the, you know, whatever packing slip template it is. And so daily at 8 a.m., it will print all of the orders that came in yesterday to your printer.
Okay, and one more. Does ShipWorks handle split orders?
Kind of. We have the ability to create multiple shipments. And so, you know, let's say I have this order here that needs to be shipped multiple times. I could, in ShipWorks, create a bunch of packages for it, ship half of them, and then wait on the other half, place the order, you know, in a back-ordered state until those new packages show up, or, you know, create as many packages as I want, hit create label, and print all of those separate. We're actually working on an additional feature right now that will allow you to actually split the order to the point where it appears as two completely separate orders within ShipWorks, because we've had some people have wanted that, and so we're working on something like that right now.
Great. Can you export a tracking number directly to QuickBooks without going to Zapier?
Currently, no. We don't have a direct integration with QuickBooks. You can do it through Zapier. There's a company called CloudCart Connector that builds third-party integrations with QuickBooks. They have an integration for ShipWorks, but we don't have a direct connection to QuickBooks. You'd have to take a hop through some sort of third party.
Okay. Can ShipWorks pull the dimensions from Channel Advisor?
Not yet. No, right now, we don't support pulling dimensions. We support pulling the weight, mainly because most people enter their dimensions and rules in ShipWorks, so that, you know, ShipWorks knows all the rules for how to ship everything, and that includes the dimensions.
Great. Okay. I think we're running out of time, so you might want to continue on. I just want to tell everyone that we do have a lot of questions here that we haven't been able to get to, and we will answer your questions via email if we don't get to them on the webinar.
Okay. So, and the last thing that we're really touching on here today is the shipping panel. So the shipping panel was added not too long ago, and what that is, I've kind of been using it this whole time, but there's this panel right here, and all of the panels in ShipWorks can be moved around and customized. So, you know, I can pull it off to another screen, or I can put it wherever it is that makes, you know, most sense for my workflow. But the shipping panel allows you to ship orders quicker rather than having to click the ship orders button like you used to back in the day to configure your shipment. You should be able to do everything through the shipping panel. And let's say I go in here and I choose USPS, and I don't see some USPS setting that I need. Actually, a good example would be, let's say I go to FedEx and I don't see dry ice or hazmat. I can still do dry ice or hazmat. I would have to click the ship orders button here, which takes you to a much more detailed section that allows you to configure everything FedEx specific for this shipment, which is a lot because FedEx gives you a lot of options. But the point of the shipping panel is that you get this sort of slimmed down version that's much simpler, so that your shipping guy doesn't have to look at this crazy busy screen that has all these options that he never uses, like maybe the FedEx pickup location or dry ice or hazmat or anything like that. The rules still apply, and so if you have a rule that says, hey, when I'm shipping this item, include dry ice, that still happens in the background. You just don't see it on this screen, sort of to simplify the shipping process and allow your shipper to just, you know, see the stuff that matters, which is the dimensions, the weight, the number of packages, things like that. And that's actually about it, I believe. So if you have additional questions, like Nancy said, we're going to try to answer all of them that came in through the chat. So get those in. And you can also reach our support at support@shipworks.com or give us a call at 1-800-952-7784. Nancy, were there any other last-minute questions you wanted to answer?
Is it, okay, would love to see NetSuite added as an integration option. Is this planned?
NetSuite is on the list. NetSuite is interesting because I believe they have an ODBC or like a flat file option to where we could get the order data from NetSuite into ShipWorks through those means. We just don't have a direct integration to their API only because NetSuite is massive and they have a ton of ways of dealing with orders similar to QuickBooks, which every user tends to be sort of a custom one-off thing, and that's why we rely on that ODBC or flat file option.
Okay. Can you tell us about inventory management works with ShipWorks? We do not have any inventory management. We work with Excel right now. What is your suggestion?
Yeah. Okay, sure. So we actually have an integration with a company called SKUVault. SKUVault is a really cool sort of like warehouse management and inventory software that will actually make it so that when the order data comes into ShipWorks, it will update ShipWorks for whether or not that item is ready to ship or if it's in stock, and they sort of house all of that inventory stuff. ShipWorks, we tend to not deal with inventory. It's more, or we rely on our third parties to handle that stuff, and one that I definitely recommend looking into is SKUVault.
Okay. Could you go over scan and print briefly again?
Sure. Yeah, so basically a quick rundown is just you enable the feature by going to Manage Options, check the box to search, and if you want it to automatically print, check that box. And then you need to have a barcode with the order number or print. ShipWorks actually includes these templates that contain the barcode. So print these templates here with the barcode, and then whenever you scan that barcode, it will automatically print the label for the order, or it will automatically pull the order up in ShipWorks based on which one of those checkboxes you checked during the setup process. And so, hang on one second, trying to get my scanner to turn on here. Okay, and so, for example, I'll scan an order, and that automatically processes the order, prints a label. I would say if you have more questions about single scan, contact our support. They could demo it for you, or if you're already a ShipWorks customer, they can help you turn it on and get it configured.
Okay. Is there a way that ShipWorks downloads the order's information from House?
That is not something I've heard of before. I may have, but it's just not ringing a bell right now. But I would assume that if that company has a way to export order data, either through a file or through ODBC or through an API, ShipWorks could get the order data through one of those three.
So this looks like a clarification to one of the questions already answered. Sorry, so you can add order level attributes to filter orders by/on?
No, you can add order level attributes, but you cannot filter on them. So you can add them, but you can't filter.
Okay, and we've got several questions asking if people can get copies of the presentation. And yes, we are recording this session, and we will send a link to the recording to all people who have attended. So a few more questions here. Can we make changes to the one scan packing slip template?
Yes, you can make changes to any one of the templates. And so, whoops, hit the wrong button here. And so basically just go to templates, edit, and yes, it's a bunch of code. It's HTML and XSLT. Our support can definitely help you do that if you don't have like an HTML guy in-house, but any one of those can be changed.
Okay. Can you batch using the shipping panel?
Currently, no, you cannot. And so if you highlight a batch of orders, it basically directs you to click the Ship Orders button, which essentially is the same thing. It just brings in all of the order data, and you click Create Labels to print that batch. So there's one additional click to print a batch of up to 100,000 orders versus a single order at a time.
Okay. Do you plan on expanding inventory integrations with more other software companies?
Yes. I can't say that there's any on the roadmap right now, but we're always adding third-party integrations, whether they be inventory-based or shopping carts. Basically, it's sort of like a, you know, we try to go after stuff that's popular or stuff that we get requested by users to integrate with.
Okay, I think we're coming to the end.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so if there are any additional questions, please send them in. We'll definitely answer them. You can contact our support at support@shipworks.com with any questions you may have, or give us a call at 1-800-952-7784. That's pretty much it.
Thank you very much, everyone. We will, as I said, send out a link to this recording as soon as it's available, and you should receive it in a couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you.